3 years into our alpha-alpha relationship, my director boyfriend decided I wasn't good enough, just because I couldn't be marked. When I got injured doing wire work on set, he was off having fun with an Omega. Fine. If the younger brother caused the debt, then the older brother can pay it. So I took his superstar actor brother, Jackson. He called me shameless, but when I sat in his lap, this cold, untouchable man suddenly lost his voice. Hurry up, are you trying to wear it down to the bone? Later, I stared blankly at the 2 lines on the test, and then my ex-boyfriend showed up with red eyes, demanding, who turned you into an Omega? Whose child is it? 1. On my birthday, I was still working overtime on set, waited the entire day, and Dawson, my boyfriend, didn't say a word. I only heard from him past midnight. I looked at my phone, stunned by the message from Dawson. Come to City B as soon as possible. Bring the storyboard file. He forgot it was my birthday. He just needed me to deliver something. Not wanting to delay production, I took a red-eye flight and landed with a fever. The set was in the mountains. I hiked for 3 hours before finally seeing Dawson. He took the file without even glancing at me. Alright, you can go now. 2 alphas being together, it was never easy. We had always kept our relationship a secret. Dawson left his family for me, moved to my city alone and started from scratch. Back then, when things were rough, he worked during the day and delivered food at night, all to buy me a ring for my 22nd birthday. But somewhere along the way, he started to change. He became cold, distant. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Dawson, do you know what today is? He lit a cigarette, frowning. What day? No idea. Don't you have filming tomorrow? Why aren't you gone yet? He didn't even offer me a glass of water. I gave a bitter smile, turned around, and walked away. I ended up saying nothing. 3. I rushed back to set that night and went straight into filming. But it was a windy day. As soon as I was lifted into the air by the wires, a sudden gust blew me off course. The riggers couldn't hold it steady. I fell, couldn't move. Blood covered my back. My agent and assistant were frantic. The crew called an ambulance. As they loaded me into it, my assistant kept trying to reach Dawson using my phone, crying hard. Why isn't he answering? What if it's serious? What if he never gets to see you again? My agent smacked the assistant's head. Don't jinx it. I grimaced from the pain, but still reached out and patted the assistant's head. He's not a doctor. Even if he came, what could he do? Luckily, no bones were broken, but I needed stitches across my back, more than 10 of them. Even lifting my arm felt like being torn apart. When I called Dawson again, he finally picked up. Dawson, I got hurt, but I didn't get to finish. From the other end of the line came soft gasps and murmurs. Dawson, mark me, deeper. Omegas are just different. Then Dawson's voice, rough and satisfied. Being with another alpha, so boring. Can't even mark each other. Just getting close makes me sick. At some point, my phone slipped from my hand. So, while I was falling from the wires, he was with an Omega. I moved, trying to pick up my phone, but the pain in my back spread to my chest. It felt like something inside me was tearing apart. Dawson didn't come when I was discharged, but his older brother, Jackson, did. 4. Jackson had always been Dawson's personal nightmare. Top of the class in everything, academics, sports, you name it. While Dawson barely made the top 100. And then there's Jackson's face. That perfectly proportioned face. The kind that made even seasoned celebrities jealous and uneasy. Every time Dawson stood next to him, his short legs, thick waist, and stubby neck were only more obvious. At 28, Jackson had already won several prestigious film awards. Dawson, as a director, he hadn't even been nominated. He wasn't even qualified to attend the ceremony. And from childhood to now, every person Dawson had a crush on, eventually fell for Jackson. Looking at the tall, broad-shouldered man in front of me, a wicked thought crept into my mind. I really wanted to see Dawson's face. When he found out I was tangled up with Jackson, covered in Jackson's scent, deep, rich, unmistakable, wouldn't that be a show? 5. It wasn't hard to trap Jackson. 1 cup of coffee was all it took. When he woke up, his shirt was wide open, both hands chained. I looked at him. My gaze traced every inch of him like invisible fingertips. So beautiful, like a merman born of the deep sea, muscles taut and graceful, glistening with sweat like golden scales under soft light. But when Jackson met my eyes, his gaze was like a coiled serpent. Gavin, look closely. I'm Dawson's brother. Are you insane? You're his boyfriend. He didn't get to finish. I lit a cigarette, took a drag, then leaned in close, exhaled slowly near his lips. The smoke curled between us, sharp and dizzying. I whispered at his ear, breath warm. Isn't it thrilling? Playing with your brother's boyfriend? His body tensed completely. 6. Through the haze. I brushed my lips over the small mole on his throat, let my neck glide across his skin, teasing his faintly flushed scent gland. Jackson coughed hard, tendons straining across his arms, metal clinking as he pulled at the chains. His pupils turned red, like a wounded predator. Disgust was written all over his face. TSK. I stubbed out the cigarette, almost forgot. Dawson once told me Jackson was a textbook straight alpha. Once, an alpha confessed to him and almost got his gland shattered with one punch. Sure enough, Jackson glared at me, grinding his teeth. Gavin, let me go, or I swear I'll end you. 7. He threatened me. I'm an alpha too. What? Does he think I scare easy? Go ahead, try. I'm right here. I lifted my leg and pressed it against his scent gland. Not gently. A deep heat radiated from under me. Sweat slid down the bridge of Jackson's sharp nose, catching the light. A golden arc traced across his heaving chest. He squeezed his eyes shut, refusing to look at me, but the moment I pressed down harder, his whole body shuddered. TSK. So the award-winning actor has some hidden talents. Ha! I couldn't even cover him with my whole foot. 6. I pressed and rubbed him firmly. The man, furious, yanked the chains hard. They clanked loudly. Don't you have any shame? Stay away from me. Alpha scent makes me sick. Almost at the same time, his scent burst out like wildfire. That intense aggression and hostility nearly made me dizzy. I sneered and sat down in his lap, letting those sharp, cutting pheromones hit me, making my skin almost crack in pain. Despite the discomfort, I kissed him first. Alpha pheromones never mix easily, like two wild beasts in a desert, growling, biting, tearing at each other, claws almost ripping flesh. But somehow, we both started to breathe erratically, tangled together, hard to separate. The attack felt more like a strange kind of temptation, and a rusty sweet heat bloomed in the air. Jackson broke one handcuff and grabbed the back of my neck hard. Even though I could barely breathe, I kept chasing him, until I couldn't sit still anymore, my whole body about to fall backward unconscious. Then, angrily, he bit down on my neck. 7. My lips felt like they'd been stung. I was dizzy as if after drinking strong liquor. When I unconsciously unbuckled his belt, suddenly I got a sharp smack on my lower back, and then I just froze. Jackson was covered in sweat, his skin shimmering like snake scales under the lights. He frowned and gave me a final warning. Let me go, and I'll pretend none of this happened. I'm an E. I didn't make him the bottom. So what was he emphasizing? The next moment, his face twisted, because I was brazen, and because I'd stopped halfway. 8. I gasped sharply. Never expected him to be so terrifying. I swayed and then wrapped my arms around his neck, resting for a few minutes, shook once, then collapsed and couldn't move. At first, Jackson kept a calm face, pretending to be unaffected, but soon, sweat soaked through him, veins bulged all over, his dark brows tightly furrowed. Every time he tried to lean in, the chains jerked him back hard. Finally, he could only painfully roll his Adam's apple, chains jingling everywhere. He ground his teeth hard near my scent gland, eyes practically ready to shred me. Are you torturing me on purpose? Hurry up. Are you trying to wear me out? My heart thumped painfully. My fingers went weak. With teary eyes, I glared at him but my voice softened. You're so noisy. Why don't you do it yourself? 9. I unlocked the man with the key and hadn't even sat down yet. Jackson suddenly pushed me down hard. I tilted my head back, my vision blurred instantly. I couldn't speak a word, only gasped softly. The marks on my skin were too clear. I felt folded in half, almost screamed till my throat hurt, and my tendons nearly tore. I couldn't hold back swearing. Jackson, are you my enemy or a starving ghost reincarnated? Don't you hate alphas? Let go of me already. How long is this going on? But before I could finish, Jackson bit me, hard, right on my lower back. I panicked, my face burning hot, and shoved his shoulder. You, that's not a peach. How could he bite there? Sweat from Jackson's brow dripped onto my neck. His handsome face twisted into a wicked grin. Wasn't all that bravado just now? Scared now? I stiffened my neck. Who's scared? I've been through worse. Your strength's like a tickle. Suddenly, Jackson kissed me fiercely. I fell back sharply, almost hitting the wall, but his hand caught the back of my neck, cradling my head. What started rough ended with surprising gentleness. My heart felt like an old record, the needle tracing a strange, offbeat melody. 10. Jackson got hooked like he hadn't eaten in days. At one point, I really couldn't take it anymore. Tried to escape but he grabbed my ankle and yanked me back. Straight alpha? Yeah, right. He didn't stop until he'd used every last drop from the little bag at home. Cleaning up, I was all tangled like noodles. He couldn't even pick me up properly. When drying my hair, Jackson suddenly got crazy again. After wiping my hair, he kept gently stroking the back of my neck. I opened his hand and turned over. He held me like a big, soft pillow. With my eyes closed, I couldn't help but pinch his chest muscles now and then. Super relaxing. He looked helpless. Can your hands behave for once? 11. I woke up too late. When I opened my eyes, Jackson was gone. Even weirder, the room was insanely tidy. If not for the strange feeling on my body, I'd think it was all a dream. When changing clothes, my skin felt slippery all over. TSK, am I a cat or something? Not only did someone put medicine where they shouldn't have, but they also applied scented ointment. I suspected he was a neat freak. I just finished the wontons Jackson left me when the door slammed loudly. I opened it, annoyed. What's the rush? But it was Dawson standing outside, eyes dark and cold. Why change the password? I looked at him coolly, and he shoved the door open. The man checked every bedroom, then the bathroom. He even opened the closet and looked under the bed. So much for the place Jackson cleaned up. Now it was a mess again. I couldn't take it anymore. Are you crazy? What are you doing? Dawson's dark mood slowly faded into a light chuckle. So it was fake news. You lured me here on purpose. What nonsense. I frowned and tried to push him out. You're not welcome here. Dawson raised an eyebrow, leaned against the wall, and didn't move. Still mad? It's just an injury. You're an alpha. What's the big deal? I even came specially to apologize. What more do you want? I suddenly smiled despite myself. Yeah, no big deal. Just me getting hurt and you being late. I understand how busy you are. Dawson relaxed and reached out to hug me. See? You're so understanding. But I suddenly stopped smiling. No worries. Next time I get hurt, you can come even later. Better yet, just come to my funeral. Save us both the trouble. Dawson went pale, voice sharp as ice. What did you just say? I was too tired to argue. I shoved him out and slammed the door hard, catching his hand in it. Dawson shouted outside, Gavin, are you crazy? You want to ruin my hand? The door banging was so loud, I had to ask security to escort him away. 12. We had a fight in the morning, but by afternoon, we had to work together. Even though just seeing Dawson made me furious, I couldn't mess with the job or risk breaching my contract. This was a period drama, and I played a hostage prince who was bullied. The Omega I acted with was handsome and refined, holding Dawson's hand while applying some bruising cream. When Dawson saw me walk in, he snorted coldly and leaned even closer to the Omega. That young man's tone was arrogant. Who hurt him so badly? That's cruel. The moment he spoke, I froze. It was him, Enzo, the young man Dawson marked when I fell from the rigging. 13. Since the play started, I kept glaring at him. Enzo messed up his lines, missing all the emphasis and losing all momentum. I didn't want to, but with just a snap of the fingers, your lover came running. If I were you, I'd rather die than be treated so well by my lover and still get abandoned. It was just part of the script, and my injuries from the fall were healed. But hearing those words made the pain across my back and chest feel like it was tearing open again. Holding back my anger, I stuck to the script and lightly grabbed Enzo's neck, pushing him into the water. But the moment my hand touched him, he screamed and fell to the ground. Tears filled his eyes, looking terrified. What did I do wrong? You squeezed me so hard, I almost suffocated. Dawson rushed over and helped Enzo up. He looked at me with a scolding gaze. He's an Omega. Can't you alpha types cut him some slack? I felt a wave of frustration choke me, my voice hoarse. I just touched him. Omegas are fragile. Alpha, can't you control your strength? Besides, I was being watched on the monitor. Do you know how scary your acting just now was? Like you wanted to tear Enzo apart. I almost laughed from anger. So if I act well, it's wrong. Enzo's face turned pale, tears falling instantly. It's my fault. I'm not professional enough. Dawson patted his shoulder and shouted at me. Enough. Can't you alphas ease up on Omegas for once? He then looked at the scriptwriter nearby. Change the script. Let Enzo be the one who pushes Gavin into the water. I didn't argue. I understood the crew wanting to be considerate to the Omega, but I didn't expect Enzo to mess up so many takes. He either laughed out of character, stepped out of frame, had wardrobe malfunctions, or forgot his lines. Every mistake happened after I fell into the water. Unlike the harshness toward me, Dawson was very patient with Enzo. When he messed up, Dawson gently encouraged him. Don't cry. You're really good. Let's try again. When Enzo forgot his lines, Dawson would pat his head. It's because you've filmed too many takes. Not your fault. We'll redo it. So from afternoon till dusk, I fell into the cold water more than 20 times, my clothes drying and getting wet again. Eventually, my bones felt frozen through, my head light, vision darkening. Finally, Enzo got it right. When he pushed me, I froze and didn't move. Dawson shouted through the megaphone impatiently, "Gavin, do you even know how to act? Why are you just standing there?" I slowly lifted my eyes but couldn't respond, because I fainted. 14. The old injury had just healed but kept getting chilled again, so I caught acute pneumonia and even had a fever of 104 degrees Fahrenheit 40 degrees Celsius. When I woke up 3 days later, I felt like the world had collapsed. I was the lead in this drama. I dared not imagine how far behind the schedule would slip. My hands shook as I called Dawson. "Dawson, how's the shoot going? I'll head back now." "Relax." He sounded in a good mood. "Just rest well." I let my guard down, but then Dawson said something else. "The lead role has been switched to Enzo." A sharp ringing filled my ears, and I had trouble breathing. "Why?" "Because every day the crew stops filming. It costs tens of thousands. We can't wait." But Enzo kept messing up. How could I have fainted? And besides, my voice was hoarse. Besides, this play was supposed to be made for me, wasn't it? 5 years ago, Dawson drank himself sick with the producer just to get me a role. 5 years ago, he said he became a director to make films starring me. Back then, the young Dawson's gaze was gentle. "My dream is to see baby win awards." My heart felt ripped open, and memories nearly drowned me. But all I heard was Dawson's impatient voice now. "Gavin, can you stop emotionally blackmailing me and just let me make you famous?" I gripped the phone tighter. "Fine. I quit the role." "Quit?" Dawson sneered. "Fine. Then don't ever be in my films again." "Don't worry, I won't." I took a deep breath, voice soft. "Dawson, let's break up." 15. There was a clink, like a phone dropping. Then Dawson laughed. "Fine, break up. I'm so sick of an alpha I can't mark. I want to see what roles you'll get without me." The call ended abruptly. I threw the phone aside and covered my eyes. I could almost hear the cicadas from 5 summers ago. Back then, the scent of osmanthus floated in the air. That young man backed away whenever our noses touched, his forehead and neck covered in nervous sweat. My heart pounded. We're both alphas. If we can't soothe each other, there's no happy ending. But Dawson held my hand tightly, his pupils clear like onyx. "Then I'll prove to you that I'll never change." He wouldn't change, but he changed faster than anyone. I opened my phone and deleted all contacts of Dawson, then blocked him. I also deleted every photo of us together. Suddenly, an unknown number called. I answered weakly. On the other end was a polite, gentle voice, the show's producer, asking about my schedule. I kept saying I was available, my hand shaking holding the phone. He added me and sent 2 scripts for S-level roles. Both considered me for lead roles. One was about an undercover assassin targeting an enemy king. The other was an intense spy war story. Both were passionate and brilliant. I was beyond excited. I typed quickly, "I'm available. I can start filming anytime." When my agent and the producer finalized the contract, I still felt like I was dreaming. The producer said someone recommended me and, after seeing my past work, thought I was great. I wanted to know who, but he was secretive. "You'll find out when you join the crew." For the first time in my life, I got a big lucky break falling from the sky. Who was the mysterious benefactor? If I ever met them, I'd run up and give them a big kiss. I might even give myself to them. No joke. 14. 3 days later, I joined the crew. The first scene was a hot springs scene. The plot was that the king suspected I was an undercover spy and wanted to search me, but I pulled him into the water to struggle instead. Between extreme danger and attraction, I was fiercely marked by the king. To capture the authentic shock of our first meeting, the director didn't tell me who my scene partner was. He only told the stylist to make sure the makeup and styling were striking, mysterious, and exquisite. When the styling was done, even I was stunned. The mirror reflected a figure with delicate black hair like cicada wings, an ancient silver mask, and just a red cord at the waist outlining a slender silhouette, pure and untarnished, yet sleeves fluttered with the dust of the mortal world. I smiled helplessly and stepped outside, then froze. Someone spoke through the trees, their voice clear and bright. I heard the cinematographer took a last-minute leave, so I volunteered to help. No pay, just want to learn with everyone. It was Dawson. He was smoking, handing fruit to the crew. My hands and feet went cold. I almost turned to leave, but Dawson smiled and came up, pressing a peach into my hand. "I just arrived. I don't even know this teacher's name yet. Please take care of me later." He didn't recognize me. 2 years of friendship, 3 years of being lovers, but just one mask and a bit of makeup, and Dawson couldn't tell it was me. I smiled wryly. Dawson tried to brush my long hair off my shoulder, but I instinctively dodged. He awkwardly paused, then smiled again. Teacher, don't mind me. I'm a director too. If we get a chance to work together, please consider me. Okay. He stepped closer, voice low. Director Zhao is strict on this show. You have to loosen up, tear the clothes if needed, make the kisses real, act boldly, make it feel like a real passionate entanglement. I suddenly wanted to laugh. The once arrogant Dawson, now flattering like that in front of someone more famous and powerful. I lowered my voice. Hoarse. Thanks. I'll do exactly as you say. Struggle fiercely with someone else. Dawson froze for a moment, expression stiff. He said no more. I turned to leave, but I really wanted to see his face when he realized he was directing his ex and another man to act out bold intimate scenes. 13. The filming was about to start. I nervously kept touching the fake scent glands on my neck, not because of Dawson, but because as an alpha, I instinctively disliked intimate scenes with unfamiliar alphas. If my aggressive nature flared and I hit someone, I was done for. After some mental preparation, I finally stepped through the corridor. Spring bamboo shimmered green in the garden. Mist floated. In the pool was a man, broad-shouldered and lean, outlined in faint golden candlelight. I knelt, gently wrapping my arms around his shoulders, covering his eyes with my hand. The water seeped through my fingers. The next moment, the man turned his face, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me fiercely underwater. Water splashed, and I fell into his arms, my clothes floating like a blooming ephemeral flower. Our eyes met with a thunderous shock in my mind. It was Jackson, an award-winning actor, now playing my second lead. Our hair tangled, my heart pounded like a drum. He was striking and dignified, calm, but his hand squeezed me tighter like a constrictor. His eyes were deep seas. Tell me, what do you want to do? The storm of complicated feelings left me speechless. Panicking, I grabbed a flower petal from the pool and pressed it against his lips. Through the petal, I lightly kissed him. Water droplets slid down Jackson's throat, dripping onto his collarbone. 14. Cut. The first take was finally over, and I relaxed instantly. How could things be this coincidental? Dawson was the cinematographer, and my partner was Jackson, letting my younger brother film intimate scenes between my ex and older brother. Even I felt goosebumps. The director praised my vivid and stirring performance, especially the flower petal kiss as the highlight. Dawson seemed to have lost his mind, chiming in and echoing the director, praising my acting. Dawson leaned close and whispered to me, "Teacher, let loose during the next scenes. Be as tempting as you want. My brother really hates alphas. If you're passionate and clingy with the kisses, and my brother flubs his lines, you'll get headlines crushing the reigning movie king, crushing your grandpa." I thought, expressionless behind the mask. Do you realize you're coaching your ex and your brother to passionately wrestle on camera? 15. Back to filming. I almost turned into a puppet, sitting in Jackson's arms. I watched Dawson's unblinking eyes observing every detail. I was so embarrassed I couldn't even move my fingertips. When our lips touched awkwardly, both of us furrowed brows from the clumsy collision. The director naturally called, "Cut," and explained the scene to me over and over. Jackson looked at me deeply, voice low and hoarse. "What's wrong? Can't act with Dawson watching." "Oh, you're still hung up on old feelings. Ha, want to get him back?" I glared at him but suddenly laughed. "What about you? Messing with your former brother-in-law right in front of your little brother. You're seriously immoral." I stopped speaking because Jackson suddenly bit my throat hard. Dazed, I didn't back down. I grabbed a nearby wine jug, took a sip, and pressed my lips to his. Hair tangled, waist swayed, leaning my neck back, hair wrapped around my body, my waist curved like an eel's movement. The night breeze passed through the corridor. My chest felt hot and cold. His fingers lightly traced, gently brushing my skin. Suddenly my throat was grabbed, breath cut off. Jackson's hand squeezed my carotid artery, both a caress and a threat. The next moment, he flipped me over and pinned me to the pool's edge. The water shimmered like silver scales, skin pressed together, something like a python's tail repeatedly brushed. His large hand cradled my neck, then suddenly bent down to lick a water droplet on my collarbone. I knew it was acting, but seeing the fear and obsession in his eyes, I lost control, completely in character. Skin shivered, breath heated, my blood roared wildly. I only wanted to be pierced, torn apart, to be soaked in his scent. Every kiss he left on my neck and shoulder made me moan softly. Jackson wasn't calm anymore either. Sweat covered him, muscles tense like a drawn bow. He frowned, voice low. Stop screaming. My fingers tangled in his hair, skin soft like cicada wings, my legs wrapped around his waist, neck grinding against his. Tear, pierce, strangle. I whispered seductively in his ear, do whatever you want. At that moment, the camera crew stirred. Dawson dropped something and suddenly went pale. He tried to turn off the monitor, but the crew stopped him. My attention flicked over, but Jackson grabbed my chin and twisted my face toward him. His teeth crushed my scent gland harshly, at an angle I couldn't see. His eyes shot a challenging glance at Dawson. His muscles burned against my chest. Breath scrambled. My eyes saw only Jackson, no one else. I arched my waist, pressing my scent gland against his lips aggressively. I heard a curse as his teeth bit through, deep and hard. My head exploded, nearly rolling back my eyes. He broke through the fake scent gland, piercing the skin, flooding me with his pheromones. How could I take that? I was an alpha. How could I stand being marked by him? Almost instinctively, I screamed. The wild pheromones inside me surged like a tidal wave, but were smothered by the flood he poured in. Finally, I surrendered completely, frozen, my head tilted back, mask slipping off. My face went pale, eyes reddened at the corners, like a twin lotus blooming with red-stained pistils, glaring brightly into Dawson's eyes. Almost as the director shouted, "Cut," Dawson let out a roar. "Gavin!" I looked toward the voice and saw the man's hands were covered in blood, eyes blazing like molten fire. 16. After filming ended, I was so exhausted that my consciousness blurred. When Jackson lifted me out of the pool, my manager and assistant both looked pale. My manager immediately picked me up on his back and dashed straight outside, fearing any behind-the-scenes footage might leak and cause Jackson's massive fanbase to come after me. He moved so fast that Dawson couldn't even stop him. In the bedroom, I pressed on my already scabbed neck. Just the slightest touch made my breath hitch. Suddenly, I realized, acting with Jackson was dangerous. The moment I slipped into character, I was easily stirred by him, like a pilgrim falling in love with a deity. While my mind was tangled, the director called everyone for a late-night snack. I casually changed into a high-neck cotton t-shirt, then froze at the door. Dawson stood outside, arms crossed, half shrouded in shadow. He'd been standing there for who knows how long. 17. Dawson's face was deathly pale, blood still flowing from his hands and body. He smiled bitterly. You did it on purpose, didn't you? You deliberately joined the crew I'm on. You deliberately wore a mask. You deliberately acted intimate scenes with my brother. His pupils reddened as he grabbed my shoulder, his bones creaked loudly. You know my greatest pain in life comes from him. Yet you wear a mask and kiss him passionately right in front of me. I frowned and shrugged him off coldly. On purpose? You said you were a last-minute substitute. How was I supposed to know you'd be here? Besides, we're broken up. Who I act with is none of your business. I tried to walk away, but Dawson suddenly pressed me against the wall by the shoulders. Then he smiled painfully. Isn't this just to torment me? Fine. I admit it. I regret it. If you apologize and quit this drama immediately, I might consider getting back together. Are you kidding me? Quit the drama for him? It was my endless tolerance and generosity that gave him this shameless courage. I sneered and shoved him hard. In your dreams, who the hell do you think you are, to ask me to quit? But Dawson gripped my wrist tightly, the veins on his temples bulged. You and my brother barely knew each other before. It's your first time acting, yet you get this passionate. Don't tell me you're not using him as a substitute. I advise you to kill that feeling quickly. My brother hates alphas. He's a movie king. Every tear and passion in his films is fake. He'll never fall for acting. His words hit me like a heavy stone, shattering countless cracks across my heart's mirror. So what? I shrugged him off again. I don't like your brother. What does it matter to me that he hates alphas? But after a few steps, I froze. Jackson was standing in the corridor, unnoticed until then. Moonlight poured through the window, cutting his face into halves of light and shadow. 18. Just as I was about to say something, Jackson's phone rang. The voice on the other end seemed urgent. After listening, he frowned deeply. Dawson caught up. His eyes were red, voice anxious. Brother, Enzo called you, right? My heart skipped a beat. Dawson rushed through his words, explaining he heard from a friend that Enzo injured his scent gland while filming. From their conversation, I realized the two families were old acquaintances. Omega's glands, can't have any trouble. Dawson's voice trembled. Brother, he only asked you for help, but can I come too? Jackson said nothing, hands in pockets, then turned and left. Dawson hurried after him. I stood still, the night breeze blowing through the window frame, carrying the mountains biting cold that chilled me to the bone. So Jackson knew Enzo. So they were close. So I really knew nothing about him at all. After all, I was just some occasional colleague to him. 19. Late at night, I bought a few cans of beer and sat at the foot of the mountain outside the hotel to feel the breeze. After a while, I suddenly felt ridiculous. What was there to be upset about? Who cared about me anyway? I stood to leave when footsteps approached through the grass. A tall figure blocked the moonlight. My heart skipped a few beats. The man wore a khaki trench coat, carrying a bag of medicine in his right hand. Bathed in icy moonlight, Jackson raised an eyebrow. In such good spirits. Not sleeping and coming out to see the moon. The noisy cicadas chirped. Grass rustled. My chest ached painfully. Weren't you just going to see Enzo? How come you're back so soon? Jackson showed no expression and casually took a sip from my beer. My time is precious. Why would I go see him? Then why did he come to find me? I looked into his eyes, which seemed like a calm, clear galaxy. So you just went to buy medicine for you. His gaze fell on my neck. Remembering being marked uncontrollably during filming, I covered the scab, my face flushing suddenly. He moved closer. I almost felt the resonance from his chest as he spoke. Need help applying the medicine? His words stirred memories of the night I tied him up. In the most chaotic moments, he helped me with the medicine, only with his lips. My whole body warmed. I shook my head. Jackson smirked slightly but didn't insist. He left with me. 20. At the hotel lobby, my shoelace came undone. Just as I bent down to tie it, someone beat me to it. Jackson crouched. The bright lights, people passing by. I was panicked, afraid a paparazzi might be hiding. No need, I said. The man looked up, though low down. His expression was commanding. He grabbed my ankle. I remember that night. You didn't say no like that. My heart pounded. Curious onlookers glanced our way. He didn't get up. Jackson. The man just raised an eyebrow, until I clenched my fist. Ear burning. Jackson finally let go. They took the elevator, walked to my door. His hands suddenly blocked the wall beside me. His eyes were pitch black. Helped you twice. Should I expect some thanks? Helped me twice. Medicine and shoelace? I scratched my head, embarrassed. What do you want then? Before I finished, Jackson kissed me. His long lashes drooped. The tips shimmered like poisonous swallowtail butterflies in blue. Breath quickened. He wrapped me fully in his arms. My heart raced. Flustered, I pushed him away. Rehearsing after work? No need to be so dedicated. So I really am Dawson's substitute. As I turned away, I heard the man's voice. 20. Of course not. But a romance between two alphas never ends well. I never doubted his sincerity. But sincerity can change in an instant. Near dawn, my manager and assistant couldn't wake me no matter what. Someone came in later, bringing breakfast. Then I dreamt. First, a silver wolf pounced on me. Fierce and domineering, sharp teeth grinding my neck. Later, the wolf turned into a Samoyed, wagging its tail and begging at my side. Its eyes were like onyx, paws pressing on my shoulder, voice plaintive. What's wrong with me? I endured so long at the top of the stage, and only then did you notice me. So why did you still reject me? I was exhausted. It licked the medicine, from my neck to my chest, finally down between my legs. When I woke up, the room was empty. I rubbed my forehead, thinking, what kind of crazy dream was that? 21. We finished filming late yesterday, so there was no shoot this morning. But after breakfast, my forehead started burning up, and I felt a little nauseous. Without hesitation, my assistant booked me an appointment at a nearby hospital. After a full-body checkup, the doctor on duty turned out to be an intern. He ran a series of CT scans and ultrasounds, confirmed I was an alpha. Then his expression grew heavy. Though the doctor's words were technical, when the word tumor dropped near my ears, my mind exploded with noise. And it wasn't just one tumor, both in my glands and abdominal cavity. The doctor told me to come back in a few days for a biopsy. I nodded, feeling dizzy and weak as I left. Outside, the sky was heavy with thick clouds, seeming like it might collapse at any moment. My vision blurred, and I accidentally bumped into someone. Gavin! Someone shouted angrily. I looked up and recognized him. It was Dawson. He was helping Enzo up, fury burning in his eyes. Did you do that on purpose? Enzo's face is already injured, and you still ran into him. Since when did you become so malicious? I stared at him blankly as my stomach churned violently, then turned to leave. Oh, then I'll leave. At that moment, Enzo spoke. Dawson, my face is bleeding again. Don't blame Gavin. He definitely didn't mean to. He looks terrible too. He must be sick or uncomfortable. Tears slid down his cheek as he covered his face. Dawson grabbed my wrist hard. What illness can an alpha even get? Gavin, you can't just walk away like this. You have to apologize to Enzo. Seeing Dawson's furious face reminded me of a dinner 2 years ago. A powerful figure deliberately poured me wine. I refused, but in pushing him away, some spilled on his clothes. The man demanded an apology, and Dawson suddenly rushed in, smashing a bottle against his own head. Blood ran down his brow, but even as he knelt, his back remained straight. Gavin is my responsibility. If anything happens, Dawson, will take the blame. His fault is my fault. I'll apologize and make amends. Back then, I patched him up as he grimaced and smiled. As long as I'm here, I'll never let my wife suffer or apologize to anyone. But people change, and feelings do too. I tightened my grip on the medical report and smiled bitterly. I'm sorry. No sooner had I said it than my nausea worsened. Dawson patted Enzo and raised an eyebrow. That's more like it. At least you know how to behave. He didn't finish because I threw up, right on his head and face. 22. Dawson was furious. His face turned as dark as a burnt pan. I made you this sick, and you throw up? You're really a public nuisance. Someone pulled me aside and quietly wiped my face. Since you know you're disgusting, I think you owe Gavin an apology. Dawson looked utterly defeated, pointing at himself in disbelief. He puked all over me, and I'm supposed to apologize to him? Jackson, even though he's my brother, you can't be this unreasonable, right? Jackson glanced at him expressionlessly. Unreasonable? From what I saw, Enzo staged a fall, but you're making Gavin apologize. If your vision is so poor, maybe you shouldn't be the cinematographer. I'll ask the director to hire someone better. Dawson's expression shifted. He took a deep breath, bowed to me silently in apology, and then turned to leave. 23. Jackson said he came to get some cold medicine for the director but didn't expect to run into me. He spoke a lot, but my mind was blank. I couldn't hear a word clearly. The man finally sensed something was wrong. He grabbed my shoulder. Gavin, do you hate me that much? No way. I looked into his eyes, which sparkled like rare jewels. Just one look sent a thrill through me. It felt like pulling an SSR card from a gotcha game, only to find the server would shut down in 5 seconds. I grabbed Jackson and pinned him against the wall. I don't like you. An alpha flipped and tossed around by you, but I don't have time for this. Jackson. My voice was hoarse. I can't hold you back. As soon as I finished, Jackson's expression changed. He snatched the bag with my medical reports, skimmed through it, then suddenly closed his eyes. He stood still, sunlight almost freezing him into an emotionless sculpture. Suddenly, he made a call and pulled my hand to leave. 24. After buckling up, I was still dazed. Where are we going? He didn't answer directly. Did you bring your ID? I nodded, carrying both my hospital ID and insurance card. Jackson drove fast without saying a word. Was he taking me to another hospital for a follow-up? I guessed wildly, but when we arrived, I was stunned. The sign read, Civil Affairs Bureau. I felt faint and whispered hoarsely, why did you bring me here? 25. Jackson unbuckled and said with the calmness of someone buying groceries, to marry you. My breath hitched for a moment. Why? You turned me into an asexual. He gritted his teeth, gripping my chin hard. Now that you've seduced me, you think you can run? Gavin, don't even think about it. I'll cling to you till I die. 26. Jackson, seriously, can you learn some artful speaking? You turned what should have been a romantic proposal into a horror story. Still, I'm a proud alpha, so naturally, I accepted him. 27. I'm not stupid or picky. When you're about to die, what's the point of being difficult? But I never expected it to be so easy to get a marriage certificate. The obstacle that Dawson couldn't break through after years, Jackson solved in 2 hours flat. 28. Jackson has gone wild these days. Besides filming, he grabs any chance to nibble on me. He's trained my flexibility so well that I can lift my leg onto his shoulder. He seems afraid I might disappear, locking us tightly together every time. Finally, in a break between shoots, he took me to see a specialist for a follow-up. It was a big operation, helicoptered from the set to the hospital. The wind was so strong it blew the director's wig off. But when we got to the clinic and saw the nameplate, I wanted to run away. Connor. Jackson nodded. That's my grandfather. Wait, isn't he the one who almost beat Dawson to death after hearing Dawson and I were together? My heart rate skyrocketed. I'm an alpha with a terminal illness. What if you let him treat me and he has a heart attack from anger? Jackson squeezed my hand. You're my lover. That's a fact. They just can't handle it. They have to build their tolerance. Ugh. No reasoning with him. In the end, Jackson and I went into the consultation together. His grandfather looked at me with eyes sharp enough to gouge holes in me, but Jackson was there, and he didn't flare up. He impatiently asked me many questions, frowned over several scans repeatedly. Finally, the old professor took off his glasses with trembling hands. His face changed. He asked me with a fake smile, what was the intern doctor's name? I told him honestly, and Connor made a call. Soon the intern showed up. The grandfather threw down the report and started beating the intern with a feather duster. Never seen an alpha marked by enigma twice and differentiated into omega. What tumor? Those are embryonic and secondarily developed glands. You pose no threat to me medically, but in education, you've ruined my reputation. The intern screamed in pain but covered his mouth, too scared to cry. The old man stopped only when exhausted, then kicked him out. He took a deep breath and shifted completely in attitude toward me. Gavin, my boy Jackson is actually Enigma. I'm sorry he marked you from Alpha to Omega. Look, my grandson might be a nobody, but he's decent looking and makes good money. If you don't mind, how about taking him as your partner? I was stunned, totally confused. So I'm not terminally ill, just secondarily differentiated. I'm not only an Omega now, but I'm pregnant too. 28. The old man ordered several tests for me, and I also did a quick test with a strip myself. 2 clear lines appeared right in front of me. Damn it, I nearly died of fright. Looking at Jackson, I got so angry I couldn't hold back. I grabbed his collar and shoved him against the wall, then punched the wall beside him. You're Enigma, why didn't you say so earlier? I almost lost my mind. You know, for the first time, Jackson showed a pitiful expression. It's my fault, all my fault. Sorry, wife. From now on, I'll do the laundry and cook. Please don't leave me. Okay, what else could I do? Of course, I chose to forgive him. 29. When Jackson and I were about to return to the set, the old man insisted on warmly inviting me to his villa nearby. He said he had a collector-grade diamond he wanted to give me, as an apology. So formal, I reluctantly accepted. At the villa, Jackson went to his room to get some silk bedding sets. To make our stay on set more comfortable, I stayed on the first floor, playing games with my legs crossed. After just a few rounds, a shadow suddenly blocked me. Dawson stood there, arms crossed, grinning smugly. I know tomorrow's my birthday, so you finally couldn't resist and came chasing to my place. I raised an eyebrow. Sorry, totally forgot. Bringing gifts? I might consider it on my funeral day. Gavin. Dawson's face twisted, but then he sneered at the sandalwood box next to me. Just keep pretending. You brought the gift already. Why act tough? He reached for the box. Hey, that thing was the test strip. Jackson's fault for wanting to frame it as a collectible painting. Even got a special box for it. No way I could stay calm. I jumped up and tried to snatch it away. Dawson raised it high, wearing a triumphant expression. If it's not my gift, why are you trying to grab it? I want to see what this good stuff is. He turned to a corner and slowly opened it, smiling, then his smile froze. 30. Along with the test strip was the test report with my name on it. Anyone but a complete illiterate would know what it meant. His face instantly turned pale as snow, but his pupils flashed red with light like blood. You're an alpha. How could you be pregnant? Dawson suddenly stopped, then charged at me, nearly shouting, whose child? Who turned you into an Omega? My child. Jackson's voice came from behind me. He descended the spiral staircase and pulled me into his arms. Dawson, you should know some basic manners. Don't yell at your sister-in-law. Dawson stared at us in shock. Sister-in-law. Jackson wrapped an arm around my neck and kissed me lightly. We registered our marriage yesterday. Legal, compliant, no fakes. 31. I didn't expect Dawson to be so deeply hit. He sped off recklessly and then had a car accident. When he was taken to the hospital, he called me. I glanced at the phone and hung up. I once thought maybe he and Enzo could work something out, but it turned out Enzo only saw him as a backup and had hooked up with other big shots, angering the original partner. In revenge, the partner leaked all of Enzo's compromising photos, including Dawson. Both of them were blacklisted in the industry. 32. Filming while pregnant was a tough job, but in the end, Jackson and I stood together on the award stage. All the hardships finally paid off. Amid the sea of camera flashes like diamonds, I held his hand tightly and announced our marriage to everyone. At that moment, I began to believe in fate. The grandest, most unexpected encounters in life are all destined meetings.